Alright, well, this is your monthly public service announcement to please check out these books. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today guys, I've got another book review for you, but before we get into that, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel as it does help us grow. Also, make sure to check out that description box down below for the link to the Wizard Duo Discord as well as links to all my social media, including information about my Patreon. Now, that said guys, this is going to be a non-spoiler review for Keeper of the Keys, Book 2 in the Cycle of Fire by Janny Wirtz. However, because it is Book 2, there are going to be some slight story / world building things that I need to talk about from Book 1. So, if you haven't yet read this book or seen my Stormwarden non-spoiler review, I'm going to link it right up there. Boom! Please click this. Go check it out. I promise you'll thank me later. Just please check out this series. Anyway, we are going to jump right in to Keeper of the Keys. And essentially, what is happening here is following the events of Stormwarden and the big battle and everything like that. I don't want to say big battle, but following the struggle. There we go. Struggle's the right word that I'm looking for. Following the struggle at the end of Stormwarden, we have finally got Jarek and Tan, who are just kind of coming into their own. However, Jarek still has this gaze on him that was placed on him by, now I say Anskier. The audiobook says Anskier. I'm going to say Anskier just because it's easier for me to say, and that's kind of what it is in my head already, but the audiobook does pronounce it Anskier. Basically, he placed this gaze on him because he is the descendant or the son of Yvain Firelord, and basically he has to protect the keys in order to prevent basically an apocalypse. And we're kind of like exploring these great kind of sci-fi elements just slowly being mirrored into the series. I'm really not going to go into the sci-fi elements enough or a whole lot, but essentially what has happened is some sci-fi stuff has happened, and these people have found themselves on this world where they have then since reverted back to this kind of medieval society, and there's kind of something that's been locked up from, years gone by. And Anskier is kind of charged with keeping these things locked up. And Jarek is shown, hey, this is why you must protect these keys until I am free. If you can get me free, I will lift this keys, no problem. However, there's a catch. You have to do the Cycle of Fire, which is basically a trial that Jarek has to do in order to get his powers in order to free Anskier. And he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that at all because there's something about the Cycle of Fire that it is just so traumatizing, it's so jarring that it drives the people who do it insane. And so that's kind of what Keeper of the Keys here is exploring. It is basically Jarek fighting against destiny, fighting against what he knows he needs to do. He does not want to do this. He does not want to take on this burden because everybody who has done so prior has gone absolutely insane. They have lost their humanity. And even though he has the potential to conquer and master the Cycle of Fire without going insane, the risk is still insanely high. Just through the powers of mages, like we have seen thousands of people die in this story so far, and like we've gotten flashbacks of just the instantaneous death of 4,200 people, like that. I think it's 42, could be 40, I don't know. Anyway, over 4,000 people have died in a blink of an eye just because mages got involved, and that's just not something he wants to do. He's like, hey, I was this sickly scribe, minding my own business, didn't even know I was descended from a Fire Lord, and now you're going to force me to wreck my life and put everything that I know in danger? And so he kind of struggles with this. And that's the main focus of the story. It's really the struggle that Jarek has coming to terms with what he knows he has to do, but just doesn't know if he has the strength and the willpower inside to seize destiny and fulfill his purpose, just to get piece from the gaze that... Is it geas or gaze? I don't know. It's pronounced multiple different ways. But he wants freedom from this compulsion to protect the keys, because basically it's not just him. Once he dies, if Anskier is not free, then the Keeper of the Keys becomes Jark's son, and so on and so forth until, something happens and they are made secure and protected from demons. We get a lot more of the demons here in Cycle of Fire, and we really get to explore the fact that there are, I think 12 or 13 different demon races, and they all do different things, and we get to see a lot of Thiez and Lord, I believe it's Skate, and we kind of get to see what is going on with Emion, and what he is kind of the fallout of what's happened to him, and how he is truly broken and has just become a weapon of the demons here in this story. This feels, and I said in my Goodreads review, this feels like, it's kind of the middle of the book where it's kind of setting up. I wanted to use a volleyball analogy, but because it's a nautical fantasy, I decided it was like, this story is like being at the crest of the wave, and then Shadowfane, I think, is going to be like the boat just crashing into you and sweeping you under and taking you away. I think that Shadowfane is going to be just, so good. From Tien's perspective, Tien, from book one, was this young girl. And, she was lamed due to a fishing accident, or I think she was just on the dock, or something happened that lamed her. And since, she was separated from her brother, she came into these powers, and then she ran to go save Jark. The problem is she ran and left before her powers, let's air quotes powers, before her powers were done cooking. And so because of that, they try to overthrow her. They ensnare her, and she falls into a coma because of this, and then has to find her way back. Basically, Jarek has to come to the rescue, and basically he's like, hey, you came to save me. It's my turn to come save you. I'm going to do whatever I have to do to ensure you survive this, because the demons just think they got this in the bag. They're like, we got this Dreamweaver taken care of. And Jarek's like, oh, no. And there's also the potential, I think, cooking here for a little bit of a love interest moving forward. I know we've kind of got those feelings over on Jarek's side. We're going to kind of see how they developed over with Tien. But overall, we really spend the majority of our time here with Tien and Jarek, just exploring them as they grow and struggle with fate and destiny and maturing. Tien really has to kind of figure out, what it means to use her power and what she's able to do. And she's got to kind of learn to grow up really quickly, because she keeps making these mistakes that have far-reaching repercussions. And she's like, hey, I need to kind of stop doing this, because it's kind of dangerous. And it's fascinating. Now, granted, this doesn't have the same pacing and the same amount of events as the first book. And I think that is by design. I really do think that this is a setup book, and it shows, but it's executed so beautifully. It is just the struggle against the inevitable. So I gave this a 5 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. In terms of pacing, I gave this one probably a 3.5 out of 5, I think. It's a little bit slower, and we're kind of slowing down, and we're kind of getting down into what makes these characters tick. And I really enjoyed that aspect. In terms of story again is really kind of narrowing in and focusing on the characters, but I still really enjoyed the character arc that we get here within Keeper of the Keys. I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Again, the inventiveness, though, I've got to give that a 5 out of 5, just because it's the mix of actual nautical, which Janie actually has sailing experience, so it's the nautical, the sci-fi, the fantasy, executed brilliantly. And normally, I don't think that these are things that would go together, and yet she's woven it in a way that it just works. Story and everything, pacing, structure, I just enjoyed everything about these. These is a slightly darker book, so if I'm going to do a darkness rating, I'm probably going to do a 3 out of 5. It's not like dark events, but there is a lot of personal struggle within the characters here, where they are just fighting. Jarek just does not want to do the Cycle of Fire, by any means. It takes a lot to strong arm him into even contemplating doing it. So there is that. But overall, I mean, just the prose is fantastic. Janie Wirtz's prose is elevated, but at the same time still accessible and digestible. I'm gonna give this either a 4 or 4.5 out of 5. It's not really high purple prose or anything like that. Like, you can read this, but you do need to kind of pay attention. Overall, again, I said 5 out of 5 for me. This just got so many elements that I enjoy. I like the magic system. It's really soft, but it's also mixed in with sci-fi. I really enjoy that. Just one final note is I did immersion read this one with the audiobook. I am going to stick the narrator's name right here because it escapes me because I turned on the camera. You know the thing when you just turn on the camera and information just gone. Fantastic performance. I will say that for me, it was better to immersion read rather than just do plain audio. Mainly because I felt like whenever I tried to do plain audio, I would miss certain details, and this is something that demands to be read. But it is a fantastic companion if you want to immersion read. I think the author does a fantastic performance. His demon voices are a little bit on the kind of raspy side, so that's kind of interesting. But overall, I mean, just please read Cycle of Fire. Like, I cannot stress enough how much I want people to read this story. That said, I'm just going to spend the next 5 minutes, if I keep going, begging you to read these books. So let me know in the comments down below. Have you checked out my review for the first book? Have you added it to your TBR? Please let me know. And as always, guys, till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.